You've heard the storylines. Will Nebraska turn the corner to have potentially a top 20, even a top 10 defense this fall? Now, in order to do that, there is one contingency. The Huskers have got to have an elite defensive line. So in today's video, we're going to take a deep dive into that positional group for the Huskers, and I'm going to answer the question. Is that group elite, overrated, or somewhere in the middle? So really quick, before we talk about the black shirt defense, make sure to hit that like button if you're getting pumped up about watching Nebraska this fall. I know I am. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button. I'm posting a video every single day this summer talking Nebraska football and Nebraska recruiting. So if you want to stay up to date with this program or just want to help me hit 4,000 subs, please hit that button. It would be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's jump right into it, talking about Nebraska's defensive line. And like I talked about in the intro, this could potentially be Nebraska's best D-line unit in over a decade, since the Cornhuskers had a couple NFLers there in 2014, Malik Collins, Randy Gregory, just to name a few. But now, the big storyline is not only to be better than that unit, but to be one of the best in the country. So let's just start it off talking about the starters for the Cornhuskers and what we can expect, and we'll go down the list. So let's talk about Ty Robinson to start things off. I project him to start at DN this year for the Cornhuskers, and this has got to be a statement year for Ty Rob. He comes back after potentially leaving for the NFL, decides to have one more year with Nebraska. And this is a guy who I've been low on in the past. I think he's been a little bit overrated. He's not great in the pass pro. He's not great getting to the quarterback. He only had 1 sack last year. At most, he's only had 2 sacks in his best ever season. Now, with that being said, he's not great in the pass pro, like I just mentioned, but he's great in the running game. He does a good job clogging up blocks, getting to the running back, making waves for some of his other defensive linemen to get to the football. So Ty Robinson, a player who, while, again, he's one-dimensional, we need to see him develop in the pass pro this year to potentially get to the NFL. This is one of those years where, again, he's trying to prove himself to NFL scouts that he's worthy at playing at that next level, playing on Sundays. Man, you got to start right now, Ty Robinson. So really what I'm looking for is about 30-plus tackles. He's never done that in his career. We've got to see that this year for Ty Rob. And get to the quarterback a couple of times. I'm looking for about 4 sacks here, and hopefully he is a staple. But again, you feel really good about what he's providing in the running game. He is one of the best run-stopping defensive ends in all of college football, no question about it. So really good way to start off talking about this D-line. Let's take it to his partner in crime on the other side of the line, this time the other D end, and this is going to be Jimari Butler, I project to start. And I just talked about Ty Robinson being the best run-stopping D lineman on the team. Jimari Butler is the best pass pro defensive lineman on the team. He led the team in sacks last year with 5.5. Another guy who just needs to have that NFL year, that breakout year. I'm looking for him to get double-digit sacks. I really like his technique. He's a freak athlete, a player who has great speed, great size, utilizes his abilities at a high level. And also, we need to see him, get a little bit more developed in the running game, get to that running back, make quick cuts, quick little swim moves to, make a nice play and get to the football. So Jimari Butler, basically the yin-yang to Ty Robinson, which is exactly what you're looking for. And I feel really good about him taking another big step. So those are your 2 starting DNs. But let's talk about potentially the best player in this D-line, the big nose tackle in the interior, Nash Hutmacher. I always butcher that last name. I'm sorry about that. But, this is the pride and joy of Nebraska fans. We love this guy, of course, a player who wrestled for Nebraska last spring, just a big body in the interior, a guy who last year had 4.5 sacks, 40 tackles. He did it all. Super developed in the pass pro, super developed in the running game, and another very veteran player who's coming on to his last year of eligibility. He's got to prove NFL scouts, just like the rest of these guys. That's the storyline for this, for these starters. How can I prove myself not only as a solid collegiate player, but how can I prove myself that I'm worthy to play on Sundays? You can see that with all 3 of those guys. They're going to be hungry and they're going to be on a mission. So Nash, he broke out last year. He's going to break out even further. You're talking about a player who's fighting for All-American honors. He's fighting for All Big Ten honors. Yeah, you feel great about him. He's going to be one of the best nose tackles in the country. So Nash Hutmacher to end things off with the starters. But you know what I like about this D-line? it's not just the stars. That starting unit is one of the best in the country, period. But the depth is just as good. Let's talk about some of these players who are coming off the bench, starting off with Cameron Lenhardt. So I was really on the fence about whether or not I thought Cameron Lenhardt would start or not for the Cornhuskers. He's going to be rotated in a lot. Don't worry. He will be in the game a lot for the Cornhuskers. But last year, he was a true freshman. He made waves by starting the first game. He started a lot of the games. And he had 3 sacks in that first year. He was an All-American, true freshman, and a guy who just has a super high potential for the Cornhuskers. Whenever Matt Rhule is talking about leaders on the team, Cam Lenhardt is always mentioned. This guy is a legit NFL player, has that potential. I could talk about guys, potentially, earning an NFL spot. He has that already written in him. I think he's going to just prove that. And he's going to prove that he's one of the best players in the country, and he's going to have such a hyped up year going into next year, which will be his 3rd year. So, Cameron Lenhardt, about as good as it gets. But let's take it to another true sophomore into his 2nd year, another player who burned his red shirt. And this is Princewill, a man-me-lum. His partner in crime, another freshman All-American according to Pro Football Focus, and another player who has first-round potential. I compare this guy to Randy Gregory just because he's so athletically gifted. He can play outside linebacker. He can put his hand in the dirt and play interior. He can play DN. So, he can do it all in this defense, and a guy who's just so developed in that pass pro. He has a nice swim move to get to the quarterback. He has a nice little spin move. He can use that bull rush from time to time. Hopefully he puts on weight a little bit this offseason, but man, I love Princewill as a player, and he, again, has that potential just like everybody else. Let's take it to the interior now with yet another 2nd-year player. You can see a theme here. The starters are all seniors looking to get to the league. The guys here in the 2nd string are all very high potential, true sophomores or redshirt freshmen. So Riley Van Poppel is another true sophomore, and I've said in the past, I believe this guy has the potential to be better than Nash, who's our current nose tackle. Again, Riley Van Poppel, he is that guy. He's a 4-star coming out of Texas. He played as a true freshman. I can't tell you how hard it is to play as a true freshman nose tackle. Nash, for example, did not play in his first 2-3 years on campus. Riley did it in his first, and he played at a high level. So Riley Van Poppel is going to be on the field a lot. And another player who's hoping to really break out this year, and he was going to be the unquestioned nose tackle going into 2025. So, man, you feel really good. I just named 6 players on that D-line, and that's not even including some of these other players who are depth pieces. Elijah Judy, James Williams, Kai Wallen, all players who transferred in from JUCO or Texas A&M. And again, they have that high potential. They're all veteran guys with 1 or 2 years left of eligibility, and they're absolutely going to get on the field. So, man, the D-line is just so important for victory. I compare the D-line and the secondary a lot. You can have an elite secondary, but if your D-line's not good, over time, somebody's still going to get open because the quarterback has so much time in the pocket. You can have a terrible secondary, but if your D-line gets to the quarterback in half a second, it doesn't matter. The D-line is the most important position on defense. It might be, the most important position, period, besides the O-line. And that's why, Matt Rhule is really taking a focus and improving it. And we're looking at one of the best units in all of college football. So here are my 3 takeaways before I get to my letter grade about Nebraska's D-line. Number 1, not only are the starters great, but has phenomenal depth. You would feel confident about this D-line even if 1 or 2 guys went down. Number 2, the starters can do it all. We have Ty Robinson, who's one of the best running defensive linemen in the country. You have Jimari Butler, who's one of the best pass pro defensive linemen in the country. And then you have Nash, who literally does everything as the nose tackle. So great depth, great starters. Number 3, great potentials. Okay, we've seen some solid college football starters in the past who don't really have high potentials, meaning they're not going to be in the NFL. They're not going to be a high draft pick. I believe that of those 6 players I talked about, who are not only first stringers but second stringers, every single one of those guys has the potential to be a first-round draft pick, maybe even a second or a day 2, day 3 NFL draft pick. They all have that potential to be great players on Sunday. So that really is what gets me fired up about this unit for the Cornhuskers. And for that reason, I am grading the defensive line the highest of any positional group so far in my series, in A grade. Not an A+. An A+ is saved for perhaps a top 3 unit in college football. I think it's top 10 for sure. But an A, you'll take that every single day of the week. It's looking good for the Cornhuskers. Death row, as Terrence Knight, our defensive line coach, likes to say. And we're hoping we can get a bunch of sacks this year, get to the quarterback, and establish ourselves not only as a great defensive line, but a great defense. So, man, let me know down in the comment section below. Are you getting fired up about this D-line? I know I am. Hey, what's one guy that you might disagree with me on, you might agree with me on, in relation to playing time, in relation to how high their potential might be? Let me know that in the comment section. And hey, if you made it this far in the video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. As always, folks, go Big Red, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.